Hey, what's going on, everybody? You read that title right. This is proof that brokers are price gouging. Now, what had happened was I had a load, I had two loads actually, already going east out of Salt Lake City, coming back to the east side. I had a little bit of room on my trailer left, and a load actually popped up that was perfect for that. It was listed wrong, but I knew what it was by the description, so I knew that it would fit. So I called. And what happened when I called is that I was told exactly what it was, which is what I thought it was, and that this was a bid load. This was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The bid ended at 5. It was a bid for the railroad. They said that they were going to take the lowest bidder, of course, but the bids were open until 5 o'clock. So with all the information and as far as price goes on this, like I said, this was a partial. This was just a cherry on top is all this was. So I don't, let's not get into the price and all that. This is partial freight, very small piece. Plus it was coming from Salt Lake City, which isn't a great rate coming east anyway. But apart from that, I put my bid, this was exactly 1,000. It was 1,013 miles. So let's go ahead and call it 1,000 miles. I put my bid in at 70 cents per mile, which was $700. And I don't really use cents per mile as more than a gauge. This is what I knew would impact the day the most, that I was going to drop that off, because I was already dropping off a $950 load, which was going to bring this total up to $1,650 for one day. That's not too bad. So anyway, put the bid in, 700. Broker said it was fine. They were going to let me know at 5 o'clock when the bid closed what happened. All right, so I'm still watching the boards, and this is for the next week. This is on a Friday. This is already for next week. And I'm watching the boards, and the load pops up again from a different broker about 20 minutes before this bid closed. This was like 4:40 in the afternoon, pretty late. So I called that broker, asked about the load. It was the exact same load, said bid closed at 5. Okay, well, I'm not going to undercut myself anymore. I'm sure not going to pull it for less than 70. So this was basically like raffle tickets at that point. Just put my name in as much as I can, right? So I put that bid in at 750. Okay, so we'll call first bid broker A, second bid broker B, right? So what happened was at 5:02, broker B calls me and says, "Hey man, I'm calling you about that load, from here to there. Let's do it. We got the bid." And it took me a second, and I was like, I think you were the one I put 750. Of course, I'm not saying this, but I'm thinking in my head, it's like, okay, how did I just reverse undercut myself? The 750 bid won. Now, what does that tell you guys? The rate that I pulled in way low, actually, the 70 cent per mile rate, the $700 load, that broker added so much onto his end that it became not the lowest bid. Even though on my end, it was 5 cents per mile cheaper, $50 total cheaper to run, or that, the bid that I put in was anyway on my end of it all. The higher bid that I put in, the broker put in less, we got that load. And it wasn't, though, that shipper likes the broker better. No, this is the railroad, and these both were approved shippers, or they wouldn't have been able to put a bid in on it. And of course, they're bidding the exact same company, the same carrier right here. So that didn't play a factor either. What happened was that the rate that I had at 700, that broker added so much to that 700 that it became cheaper than the bid I put on 750, because that broker wasn't trying to gouge the price. They weren't being greedy. They put in at least $51 less than the other broker did. So that's where it is, guys. We put in our own, we have our rates, right? And it's pretty well known, of course, what our rates should be. When you start chopping the trailer up, or you start talking distance or weight or anything, even in the partial game, we pretty much have a set rate that we try to meet. Now the broker end is wide open. No one sees that, no one hears about it, no one talks about it. But whenever we're told that rates are low, where do rates come from? Are they from the shipper? We don't get to see what was posted from the shipper. We know what we need. We know what we see. But the adjustment there is all on the brokers. Every single bit of it. And that's not transparent. They don't have to disclose that information to us. And half the time when you ask for it, you either get hung up on or they're not going to show you anyway. And that's even aside from the fact that in all your broker agreements and all that, there's all this about if you're late with this, if you're not on time with this, if you don't check call here, if you blah, 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 we'll dock you 20%. You'll lose $500. You can lose up to 40 or 50% of the rate. Why is that a thing? Now, why can't we, as a carrier, the people who are actually responsible for this load, where's our way to say, okay, well, the information for this load was completely wrong. This will cost you that. The date that I was supposed to deliver this, they're not even open. This will cost you that. Time frames. This load was supposed to be ready at 8. Now they're saying it won't be till noon. This will cost you that. We run into more and more and more instances to where the broker's end of it all, because if they can handle that load for 10 minutes with mouse clicks and phone calls, that's fine. They have no idea where it's coming from, what that place looks like. The in-between, they've never been there, never driven it, has no idea what that looks like. And then the receiving end, same thing. They have no idea what any of that looks like. They've never personally done this. They don't usually deal with customers directly. So where is all that? Why is it that whenever we mess up, we get docked for it, but when they mess up, our hands are tied? It's just, oh, sorry. Or too bad. So most times you don't even get a sorry. So that's it for this. We'll leave this one quick, but yeah, there's your proof. I actually reverse undercut myself, however that happened.